my parents, my mom and stepdad particularly, were very abusive, psychologically abusive types of people, you know, because they were also super psychologically abused by their respective parents, right? So, but your parents' voice, more often than not, in my humble opinion, the voice that you have for yourself, that's you just echoing the way they talked to you. So that's why no matter what I may look like or what I've accomplished in my life, and even up to the point at 37, when I moved out here to Austin, I had this whole breakdown. Like even up to that point, like I still felt like I was failing my life entirely. I had accomplished so many things and I still felt like I was failing because my self-talk was garbage.
So did you feel like you were failing like in looking at your career, or did you think you were failing at life?
Everything. All things. I was 37. Yeah, I was 30.
But your career was going well.
To some, looking from the outside, it'd be like, that guy's got it all, or whatever. Absolutely, totally. Which makes you feel even fucking worse, because now you feel like a sad set. I was in major depression and anxiety, and I'm like, why can't I why can't I be happy and love myself wherever I'm at right now? And then you go, oh yeah, and you have all this stuff, you shithead.
Yeah, shithead.
Like, and then you just start shitting on yourself. I mean, it's this
worse.
horrible downward spiral that you go down, you know? But that's why. That's stinking thinking. That's why you got to go to therapy and have professionals just walk you through, like, hey, let's help you see yourself, the world, and how you fit into it more clearly. Let's do that. Let's unpack these ideas. Let's talk about trauma. Let's be able to tell the person, like, hey, it's not your fault. You're responsible 100%. No matter what happens in your life, if you've done it, you're responsible for that. But we shouldn't, so we should hold everybody accountable and responsible while simultaneously not dehumanizing them at the same time. That's the push and the pull, I think. And it's just easy. We all want to dehumanize because we've all been taught in us and them our whole lives, our nations, our tribes, our faiths, our whatever. I mean, all of these things fuck, man, we're so divided. The country, the world is so divided right now. And fear is not gonna, we can only love our way to a better future. We can't.
Yeah, we're not going to
hate our way there.
Animosity our way to enlightenment.
No, we're not.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
And even if we can build some kind of weird dystopian future, whatever that fucking is, we're all going to be that much more miserable, because what are we going to, we're going to save the planet but hate each other in the future while we're on that? No, we got to fucking figure it out. We got to figure out how to coexist genuinely. But I think all of that comes down to, initially, self-love, and then being able to love somebody, because now, like, in a plane analogy, you put your own mask on before helping other people with their masks. A lot of my life, I was trying to go love everybody. I'm just trying to get everybody's, and I'm fucking suffocating and dying and falling on the cabin floor, until I went to therapy, and I was like, oh shit, I don't even understand how to love myself, how to take care of myself, really, like, invest in myself. I had in moments throughout my life, but if you don't value yourself, you're not going to invest in yourself.
We always hear those stories about the person who's doing really well and then they decide to take their own life, and it's so baffling to us. Yeah. And I think for some, even if they're doing really well, they compare themselves to people who are doing better, and they always feel bad.
Yeah.
Like, we've told the story about this guy, Richard Jeni, who's like a really huge comedian in the 80s and 90s, and he wound up killing himself. And he always wanted to be like Jim Carrey. He wanted to be a movie star. It just never really happened. But for comics, he was like one of the best comics alive. Like, he was a guy comics would go and sit in the back room to watch his set. And you'd leave going, fuck, he's good. God damn, that guy's good. But that wasn't enough. Like, for whatever chemical imbalance he had, whatever, bad self-talk, whatever life trauma and whatever he was going through, it was just too much.
Well, a lot of people, genuinely, a lot of people are programmed with some form of "you're not good enough" programming,
Right.
I take it, having listened to many of your conversations, you're somebody who has always had a really innate self-worth about you. You invest in yourself on a high rate and have been doing it for a really long time. Myself, other people, lots of other people I know, we're not. There's that if you are still always chasing, because nothing is ever ultimately a good enough thing to finally say, I accomplished enough to silence the voices in my head that are telling me I'm not good enough.
Yeah.
You'll be forever chasing that. And seemingly that's probably what happened to him. Something happened in his growth, either as a child or even later on as an adult or both or whatever. And that was something that he could never he can never get that monkey off his back. I can relate to that hardcore.
Yeah, I think sometimes people also get in these patterns of thinking, like really negative patterns of thinking, and they can't get off the tracks. Like they're stuck in a groove the way they think about things. They're always thinking that everything's going bad for them. They're always thinking everything's going to be worse in the future and everything's falling apart, and they can't get it out of their head. They can never go look on the bright side. It's almost like it's not available to them anymore.
Well, but there's a lot of evidence to the fact that that's really neuroplasticity. Mm-hmm. So when traumas or when memories or whenever they, those galvanize in our head, well, now it's like it's a circuit. It's a root. And so when you putting a deeper groove into a record, the more you think about that same trauma or that same thing that's holding you back, the more it's going to hold you back.
Right.
Do you know Dr. Joe Dispenza? You ever heard of Dr. Joe Dispenza?
Not really.
He's like...
I think I've seen him on Instagram.
Yeah, but he's like...
I might even follow
I think he was a chiropractor, doctor, but then ultimately he's really been kind of leading the charge for, I don't know, like energy connectivity in your body, your ability to think your way to a better life, ultimately, because our thoughts are so powerful that they can affect our bodies. This is kind of the world that he's into. But I do think there's a lot.
That world makes me super suspicious.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Anytime people start talking about like manifesting the world through the ideas.
Oh man, I think it's so real.
What do you think is real? Do you think?
Well, I think prayer is manifestation. I think manifestation is prayer. I think that is a real thing, and it's not. I don't think it's just a fluke that people have been doing it for so long and feel something very deep through it. You know what I mean?
I think it's a method to achieve focus for sure, and I think there's one of the things about prayer is very similar to meditation, in that they're both like really good. They're both really good for you.
Certainly.
Meditation, where you literally thinking about nothing, and prayer, where you're praising God or thinking about the energy of the universe or whatever it is. Yeah. What you're doing is you're putting out gratitude. You're putting out this like feeling of appreciation, and all of those things are like really good ideas.
Absolutely,
all
but by doing that, I mean, just the thought exercise is, by doing that, you change your aura, you change your energy. You are also rewriting the neuroplasticity in your mind to break those habits and those cycles that have just been stuck there.
I think you definitely do something. Something's going on. I don't know if it's through your aura though.
I don't know.
When people start talking auras and chakras, I'm like, slow down. Slow down.
Listen,
are we talking nonsense?
No, I mean, listen.
Sure.
Maybe it is. Maybe it is. But it's no more nonsense than anything else that we think is probably true. Like, I don't know, man.
Right. And it's probably really also puts you in a positive state of mind, which can be very effective at improving your life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I do think that we are, yes, we are these bags of meat that walk around in this physical world. I fully believe that there's a soul in us, and that is something that is other than physical, and whatever that is operates in a slightly different way. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think there's something in there too. I wonder what it is. You know, what we're calling the soul. It's like consciousness that's untethered from language and untethered from life experience.
Yeah.
It's just whatever your essence is.
Yeah.
And then everything else you're doing, like we're talking about the way these ideas get sort of carved into your mind, and how people can help you manipulate your mind to get rid of some of these bad ideas and bad self-talk. And it begs the question, like, what are we really? Some weird combination of life experiences and noises that we can make with our mouths. But at the center of it all, there's a thing. Like, we all believe that we're like navigating through words and having conversations through language. Yeah. But what is we? We are using this language, but what is that thing? That's the
collective soul, you mean?
The thing that you get to if you could erase all the bullshit from people and just get down to you.
Yeah, the essence.
What is that?
I think that's a soul. And more specifically,
it might be.
I do think it is, but I think that's life energy, soul, but that is connected to God energy. Like, we are all little conduits of life. Yeah. The only actual miracle in the universe that we know of right now, this place right here, this little blue dot. animal.
Yes.
Right? That shouldn't give us this cocky arrogance like this is all ours, like we've been doing for so long. We have to be in homeostasis with the rest of the world and creation, but we're fucking special, man.
Yeah, we're weird.
We're super weird, yeah. But I would say, but check this out though. Like Nature is Metal, the Instagram, I think you follow them too. They're one of my favorites.
Best.
They're so good. I tell everybody. In fact, particularly I tell like my vegan friends and all that stuff. They're like, you know, animal. Like, I got you. I'm like, go follow that account and tell me that we're somehow these horrible creatures that are going and mowing down all these animals when they are ripping each other's limbs off. Literally, it's so satisfying. Anyway, but Nature is Metal, that's a great example of, yeah, this is the wild world out there.
Yeah.
So what about that? How do you explain that? Well, I think that perhaps a lot of other species of animal we evolved super fast into whatever our reasoning, the fact that we even ask why, right?
Yeah.
Like all that, we're set apart. I don't think those animals have literally just evolved or matured long enough to be able to have some of that. But I will say this, and this is, hear me out. I fully believe, this is how much I believe in the power of love. I'm not kidding. Dogs are the greatest animal. I know you love your dog. I love my dogs. They're amazing.
They're the best.
I don't understand cat people. I've had cats. They're cute and cuddly, but they're selfish little fuckers who don't need you ultimately and will eat your decomposing body the second you die. Dogs will wait at least a couple of weeks. But dogs are amazing. How the fuck do we have this amazing species of animal
Right.
that exists right now that when we met it would have fucking killed us as a wolf?
Right.
Right? And what has made the dog not just domesticated, but what has made the dog love? And it's humans loving the dog. We have loved dogs more than we've loved any other animal on this earth. I mean, I think.
Yeah.
I would say.
Yeah,
and
probably.
And I think because of that, you see dogs becoming better versions of themselves that aren't so wild, that don't want to just go and fucking kill or whatever. Not that stuff's still not in there somewhat, but this is my theory. I really believe it. And I think that the more we would do that, I mean, also, have you ever seen videos of like animal sanctuaries where they have all kinds of different animals, like owls and cats and tigers and little, like ducks and dogs, and they're like best friends. They're best fucking friends. These little teeny dogs and these huge tigers, or a cat and an owl in a tree. Like they would be sworn enemies and on any other day. Like this should not happen. But because they have been taken care of, literally in this beautiful sanctuary by human beings that are loving them all the time, could that perhaps then spill out and be like, oh, that is how we do that?
Yeah, but that's Siegfried and Roy. Didn't that put a damper in that idea?
Listen, I'm not saying
tiger.
that it's bulletproof, Joe. I'm not saying it's bulletproof.
You can't.
We've loved a
cure
lot of
that
human
thing
beings,
with
and they
love.
still do horrible things. You know what I mean? But
one of the things that Mike Tyson told me is that tigers only like one person. Like if you have a tiger as a pet, they only like one person. They don't like all the other people.
oh,
And that becomes a real problem.
oh yeah,
Yeah.
It'd be a real damper
They
at,
only like
at
you.
a pool party.
They only listen to you. So like he had a tiger, didn't want to listen to anybody else, and everybody else was terrified of this fucking tiger. And Mike's walking around with it with a chain in his underwear.
I mean,
But
Mike
the point
Tyson-
is, they don't give a fuck about love.
I understand what you're
But
saying.
with us.
I understand what you're saying.
But I understand what
I'm
you're
just saying
saying, too.
theoretically, just theoretically. There's got to be something
have
to
to eat
the
meat.
power of that we have taken so much time and so much energy and so much effort, and we treat them with. I mean, dude, humans love dogs more than they love other human beings. So what are we even fucking talking about? Like, how often you're like sitting at an outdoor cafe or something, like somebody's walking by with a dog, or you're walking your dog and there's somebody sitting there, and it's not. Hi, they look at you for half a second. They go, oh my God, what's its name? They go straight down to the dog.
Yeah.
They're asking the breed, the age, where is it from? What does it like to do? And knows all your fucking dog's hobbies and everything. And they'll not say a thing of the person that's got the dog. And you just go, oh, thank you so much. Have a great day. Because all you wanted to do was be with their dog. Dogs get all the love. And look at them. They are just like love in an animal. Most of them.
Yeah, but if you let them go, and they have to fend for themselves, they turn right back into dogs, and they get sketchy, and they even kill people sometimes.
Certainly, but again, I think these are more exceptions to the rule, and not
For
that,
dogs?
Yeah, and by the way, and if people are not loved in a good way for a long time, they regress, and we become far more animalistic. I mean,
but you don't want to domesticate everything, right?
I'm not
I know,
saying,
but you
I'm
can't,
more just
right?
bringing it up for the point of I think love is that powerful. I genuinely
love
do.
is definitely that powerful for us. But the funny thing is I'm just fucking around, but this is a thing that always comes up with people when they want to say like love is the answer. Like, not in the jungle. It doesn't. You have to. Like, it's tooth and claw over most of the world. But we have gotten to a place where love really can do amazing and very beneficial things to our species. But it's because we've figured out a way to get out of the wild. I don't think you can ever domesticate the wild. Like, you'll never have a world where those things aren't eating each other. That's literally the engine that powers the machine.
I totally listen. Like I said, I'm just throwing out ideas.
I know. I'm not even disagreeing with you.
But I would say though that in response to that, absolutely noted. But what if this simulation that we're in, this game that we're all playing, life,
right?
What if there actually is an end winning goal, which is that we all choose love and not fear, that we all go this way. And if we all do, if we get our meter all the way up there and get everybody on board with like, let's be leading in love and not in fear, not in the fear and the anger and the hate and all the things that come from that, but we actually lead this way. What if that starts energetically, literally changing the world in a way where, I'm not saying we're all going to be hanging out with Tiger.
I know what you're saying. I just
think that the energy of the world would change 100%, because love is an energy and fear is an energy.
Well, if you just sign this bill to legalize mushrooms, we can make this a fact, Zach. That's why I'm here.
Oh, bro. I hope it does.
If they did, it would change the whole world.
Yeah, I think it's really wonderful what's going on with psychedelics and treating people for depression and anxiety, and it's incredible. And
that is incredible.
And it's way long overdue. The fact that all of these drugs were put, Schedule 1, and like we couldn't do any research, we couldn't figure anything. We would be so much farther ahead on all of the CBD, THC, psilocybin, MDMA, whatever. Like all of these ketamine things that are literally helping people right now could have been helping people for so long.
Also, we would have real studies on what the negative consequences
100%,
of each individual
100%.
drug are. Because right now it's 100%. Like you're counting on people. What happens? Oh, you get a little bit of a hangover afterwards. That's it. You're like, what does that mean? What's happening to my head? Why does it hurt?
Yeah.
like we know about alcohol. Why? Because it's legal. We've had a long time to study.
Yeah. Which is, by the way, the worst drug.
It's the worst.
I love me some tequila, but it literally is one of the worst things you can put in your body.
It's definitely not good for you.
No.
But it's just weird that we're still accepting this strange situation where a person tells another person what they can and can't do.
Sure.
Even if the original person telling the other person what they can and can't do has no experience in that thing.
Certainly.
And they have this distorted idea.
Yeah.
If you talk to a lot of people that are legislators or people writing laws, they don't know jack shit about psychedelics.
But that's a case in point. That's leading in fear.
Yes.
It's
leading in ignorance, for sure. Yeah.
Sure, but I think that's all tied to the same place. I think ignorance comes out of that fear, ultimately. You know what I mean? You're afraid of whatever. I mean, pick your poison. But those ladies and gentlemen who are legislators, who are still operating in whatever their fear is, that's what they're choosing. Instead of, look, Rick Perry, he was a conservative dude here in Texas. He's now he's a huge proponent of psychedelic work with anxiety and depression and all that stuff, because I think it affected him personally in his life, and maybe not him, but somebody in his life. So it changed him. And then instead of leading in this fear that he may have led in before, now he's leading in the love of, hey, actually, this can help people, and and we need it to help people.
Yeah, it's really beneficial for soldiers, really beneficial for people that have been through like extreme trauma. Car accidents, assaults, that kind of shit.
Yeah.
It helps a lot of people, changes your perspective.
Is this coffee?
But yes, it is. Would you like some?
Yes, thank you.
But it's a tool. It's like any other tool. The tool itself is not evil. The problem is people abusing that tool.
Exactly.
Just like alcohol, just like everything else. There's so many things that are occasionally beneficial, but can be ultimately detrimental if you overdo it.
Well, 100%. I mean, look, man, God has given us so many cool things on this planet. We just, as human beings, we get crooked.
Yeah.
And so then we make it crooked. But the thing, I mean, look at opium. One of the greatest pain relievers that's, I mean, basically still is, right? All of the synthetics are all basically still being made to simulate something like opium. It just grows out of the ground. Yeah. And we can use that to help people if they have amputations and all that, like all the ways that we've been using it. But if all of a sudden you're super smacked out all the time because you're hooked on some fucking, opioids and and that crisis and the fentanyl crisis and all, and why money, all money.
Yeah, all money. And the problem is it's also, they're illegal. And when they're illegal, that means you can sell them under prescription medication.
Yeah.
So a doctor can prescribe you for opiates, and then you could have a legitimate use for it because your back does hurt, and then you can get them.
Yeah.
But that's the only way to get them, unless you're out there buying them on the free market. And if you're just buying them on the free market, no one can sell them to you unless they're drug dealers. And the drug dealers are all the ones making money. And they're not paying any fucking taxes. And if you keep it illegal, I bet the same amount of people would be using drugs. I bet if we knew, with education, I think we can lower it. But I bet the same amount of people would be doing drugs if we just legalized everything. I bet it would even out. I bet it would actually drop a little.
They have done studies. I mean, there are some cases already in Colorado. I read an article not too long ago that Colorado's marijuana usage has dropped.
Yeah.
Because
it's too fucking strong. Have you tried some of that shit? Colorado's not fucking around, man.
No.
Colorado has some preposterous marijuana because they were first to the game.
I know.
Warren Buffett invested in grow ops there.
Yeah.
He invested in warehouses that they would put these, because a lot of them, they grow them indoors.
Almost all of them. I feel like I've been to some really interesting grow houses before. Yeah, Oklahoma actually has. It's medically cool there. I think they're going to be working toward making it recreational as well, which I hope they do. I think it would be great for the state, for taxes, for like all of the things that could be done with that, and allowing people to have more liberty in that regard, because I think we ought to have that. I think it's preposterous that we're all allowed to drink booze, which has some of the worst, ultimate effects in our bodies and the decision making that we do, and yet these other things are still seen with so much stigma. It's like, guys, come on, again, choosing fear.
Exactly.
Fear, and it's like, guys, there's some of this stuff is really good for you. It's really good for you.
Yeah, and the amount of money that could be generated for tax revenue too. Colorado had some crazy tax on weed.
Yeah,
it was like, I don't remember what it was, but it was very high. I'm like, good, still cheap. It's still cheaper than alcohol, and maybe that money will go to good. Maybe we could actually use that money. Yeah. Let's put it in education, put it in cleaning streets, put it in like, fuck yeah. It should be legal. And if you can find a benefit, but in the beginning, one of the things that happened with the Colorado people was they weren't letting them use credit cards.
Well, they're still doing that in California.
That's wild.
Yeah, you can only use a debit card.
I bought weed with a credit card before in California. Yeah, 100%. I bought it at a dispensary.
Are you sure that wasn't a debit card that looked like a credit card?
No. It was a credit card, for sure.
When was that?
I started buying weed from a dispensary in the 90s. It was probably like 98 or something like that.
And they took a credit card?
Yes, they took a credit card.
Interesting.
Yeah. And then that was the Inglewood Wellness Center. We used to have to go to the hood to get our weed because that was like one of the only places where you could buy weed. I don't remember if
legally.
That place. Yeah. I definitely know I bought credit card.
Because it was medical at that point?
Yeah, it was medical at that point.
Gotcha.
So we used to go down there to get weed, but it was super sketch. The situation was super sketch because everybody knew that they were selling weed there, and everybody knew there was a lot of cash in there.
Oh, yeah.
And so one of the guys that I used to buy from wound up getting shot.
Fuck.
Yeah, he got robbed in the store and shot.
Oh, fuck. Did he live?
I believe he lived.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah, I'd stopped going there. But he was the dude that was like putting his neck out in the 90s. When it was like, is this really legal? Because like, I know a guy, my friend Todd McCormick got arrested for growing medical weed in accordance to California state law, but he got arrested on federal charges, and they wouldn't even let him bring up the fact that it was medical weed that was legal in the state of California, because in federal law, there is no such thing as legal weed.
Oh, that's right. Federally was still illegal.
So you couldn't
that's
even bring it up. So they just...
Oh, what?
Yep. So his trial consisted of them saying, did you have weed? Yes. Did you sell weed? Yes. Okay, you're guilty. And they put him in jail.
That is fucked up.
And you literally were not allowed to bring up the fact that it was legal in California and that it was medical marijuana for people who have prescriptions.
Yeah.
I had this one doctor that I was going to, though. He was crazy as fuck. I went to him, and then...
Did he have a peg leg?
Oh, he was so nuts. He had, like, all the new things, like new gadgets. He wanted to put, like, electrodes on your skin. And so one day I went to him, and he gives me this book. I go, what is this book? And it's got, like, the Twin Towers on it. He's like, the towers were dissolved using Tesla energy. I go, what? He goes, it's impossible to turn concrete into dust. The towers were dissolved using Tesla energy. I'm like...
Was that the last time you saw that doctor?
That's the last time I saw that doctor. I was like, Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ. I saved the book. I saved the book, too. The book is so stupid. The book is so stupid. I pick it up every now and then and go, what the fuck is this? It's so wild. Tesla energy.
That's a leap. That's a leap. Although Tesla was fucking dope, man.
Tesla was dope.
That guy, I literally think that guy is also a great example of somebody who was like in touch with understanding that
there's something going on.
Yeah. But I think that's a part of being connected to that energy, to that God energy. I think you can tap into that kind of shit. And I think Tesla absolutely was. Like, that guy was next level genius.
He believes he was getting signals.
Yes.
That was one of the things that he said, that he believed he was getting signals from some other planet.
Yeah. But I think that was God, though. Personally.
It might
have been. I mean, look, dude. It could be. It could have been an alien. Who knows?
No,
all
I mean,
that stuff
I think
keeps breaking.
that word God. The problem is people think of the dude in the robe and the beard.
Oh, I get that.
You know?
I mean, look, I use it in a very general sense. I don't.
Tell.
Yeah. I don't. It's more just because, like it or lump it, it's the word that we all know that represents that concept. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
Bill, it most certainly could be. All of your ideas could be coming from that sort of life force that created the universe. Because I've always said this, that the one thing that's weird about ideas is that it's the only way that things get made. So what is an idea? Like an idea is literally like a thing that enters into your mind and causes you to create things.
Yeah.
Like if you were an alien thought, like an alien life form, and the way you made things work is you got into this creature's brain and you put thoughts in there as to what to do and what not to do. And if you're Nikola Tesla, they put thoughts in there about, you need to fucking figure out how to just spray electricity through the air to everybody.
and sit under it.
I mean, he was a guy that was constantly coming up with ideas. And then through his ideas, things get made.
Yeah.
But it's like the idea... It's almost like a life form that forces itself.
Well, it's a creative thought.
Yeah.
It's a creative thought process, and it's something that we don't see in. I'm not that other animals don't display some levels of creativity, because they do, but by and large, they're not sitting around being like, how do I make my day easier? What could I do? Right. You know, they're all just still living. By the way, until they're totally torn up by some predator or whatever, they're living pretty great lives. They're in constant state of like parasympathetic.
Right.
You know, they'll jump into sympathetic for moments at a time, like when you're hunting down an elk or whatever. Like, and then they're like, all right, come back to life now. Yeah. I'm just going to go right back into chilling. I'm not worrying about my taxes. I'm not worrying about my relationships. I'm not worrying about work or anything else. It's either I'm worrying about surviving or I'm living my life.
Yep.
You know, it's fascinating. But I think with Tesla, I think that creative thinking, which seems to be very, you know, not singularly, but almost singularly human being, that is a difference in these crazy, amazing, special brains that we have. And I think that, they tap into something greater.
It definitely is very capable. The human being, the human animal, is very capable of making new things. Mm. And new things all come out of ideas.
Yeah.
I mean, we like to think that ideas are our own. But imagine if they really are just out there and you're tuning into them. And it's just a matter of like sitting down and clearing your schedule to tune into them, or occasionally driving your car and you tune into them.
Yeah. I mean, that's a meditative state, essentially.
Yeah.
You know, I've absolutely had so many. When I was first starting in acting, I grew up in Ventura, California, and about an hour, northwest from LA. And the first 3 years, I commuted down to LA for all my auditions. So I was on the 101 all the time. There were so many mornings where I'd get in my car, I would, start the day with like a prayer or something like that. I'm just driving, and I would forget to turn my radio on. I would just be lost in thought.
Right.
And not only does the trip, you ever driving some long distance but you know the distance, and it feels like you blink and 30 miles went by. You have no idea. You don't remember seeing any of that at all.
Yeah.
It's like that meditative state that you find yourself in. Maybe in some ways it's like a version of, a not as great version of, is your sensory your float tank.
Yeah.
Because your brain is on autopilot.
Right.
You're driving a stretch you've driven all the time. You're totally on autopilot. You're good. And now you're just wandering in thought, and you tap into a lot of cool things that way, I think, and that's meditation in general. Prayer and meditation.
Yeah,
hugely
even
important.
that's the same as going for a walk, right? When people go for what's one of the things that writers love to do? They like to write and then go for a walk and bring like a tape recorder and just like to just record their ideas as they're walking, because sometimes just the process of walking around after writing is like a meditative state.
Yeah. Or also, you ever find yourself pacing like on a phone call or something like that? Yeah. I think there's a similar thing in that too. It's like you're focusing so much on whatever business is going on in that phone call, and you're just putting yourself in this kind of like autopilot of a move. Yeah.
Well, I feel like I talk better when I do that. Like I get a little bit of circulation.
Sure.
Like if I'm just if it's a very important conversation, I'm not going to sit down. If I'm
totally.
I'm going to get up.
100%. Yeah, you're going to walk around. You're pacing around. But and again, people have been doing that shit forever. I mean, pacing is like an absolute thinker's kind of a thing. You're trying to solve some shit.
Yeah, that's what's so fascinating about the human animal, right? It's like we are so many different things. We're biological, but we're also intellectual. We're creative and loving and silly and mean. And then we're all like living in this physical shell, and how well you take care of your physical shell depends on how the physical shell feels and treats you. Yeah. If you abuse it and treat it like shit, then you have this fucking achy, jacked up, sloppy thing that doesn't have any air in it.
Yeah.
You're just tired all the time.
Yeah.
Or if you take care of it, you feel good, and you can make other people feel good too.
Yeah.
And it's like we're these weird piles of ideas and life experiences, and we're all just trying to sort through things in real time. And then there's people that like take advantage of that, and they'll try to be mean to you if you don't think the way they think, and they'll use excuses as to why they're being a fucking asshole.
Totally. Choosing fear.
Yeah, but it's just being mean, but you're being mean on the side of good.
But again, that's still, yes, 100%, but that's still them ultimately, they're fearing the other side of the conversation, because their ego is kicking on, their fight or flight is literally kicking in. They're like, I don't know enough about whatever this is that I'm talking about to be able to even allow for that conversation to come in, because it could totally destroy the scaffolding of what my identity is pinned on.
There's a lot of that.
There's so much of that. And so we have to be empathetic to people in that regard and be like, okay, I understand why you're being so cross. I understand why you're pushing back so much. But ultimately, if we can point out to everybody, hey, work on yourself, love yourself so that you feel like you can invest in yourself. And as you love yourself better, you'll recognize how to love other people outside of you better, because in order to love yourself, you got to give yourself a fucking break, man.
Yeah.
You got to give yourself a break. And we don't give anybody a break. Nobody's giving anybody a fucking break anymore. Like, guys, we're human beings. We're fucked up. We're all a little broken and messed up. And if we can't just acknowledge that and see each other, it doesn't mean that people aren't assholes on the other side and doing things that need to have boundaries. Loving is not just liking times 1,000. To like something is to like something, but to love something means just recognizing the miracle in the soul across from you, recognizing that they exist and they are worthy of existing. They are worthy of being in this space that they're inhabiting, even if they're a fucking asshole. And then having boundaries with those people so that, it's not a matter of just giving. People say, like, how do I forgive this person and make sure that they don't do this to me again? I go, no. Forgiveness isn't just being like, and we're cool. That's not forgiveness. Forgiveness is recognizing that they didn't do anything to you personally. They did something they're acting out of their shitty trauma, their programming, more often than not,
I just also think we have to like kind of reward an ethic of trying to be nice and sort of do our best to not reward people that are just constantly being shitty.
Yeah.
Because there's just so many people that are getting attention from being shitty, constantly being shitty. They're just putting this thing out there. It's like, all right, that's really what you want to do. You're putting out this negative energy constantly, and you're complaining about things, and you're finding reasons to be mean about people, to shit on people.
Because they're terrified.
Yeah. Well, they're broken, right?
Yeah, but they're deep down, they're very afraid of whatever it is on the other side of that conversation.
Yeah.
They're just terrified. And by the way, it's on both sides of the aisle.
Oh, yeah.
This side, terrified of these ideas. This side, terrified of these. Not being able to just come together. Man, I wish we had some like Jedi council of just the smartest, deepest, most enlightened, deeply empathetic, genius people, symposium, whatever, 20 people, and just allow them to get together and all just agree on, like, can we just decide some of these things that we're all fighting about? Can we just come together and make some really neutral ground so we can do this?
Do you know of anyone that you would trust to be on that council? Like, how many people do you think would have to be on that?
I don't know. I mean, again,
let's say 9 people. Should we say 9 people?
Okay.
Let's say 9.
9 people.
Do you know of 9 people whose opinion you would value so highly that they wouldn't say something so egregiously stupid that you'd go, what the fuck, man? You know?
Yeah.
Not like see, these people can't be like politicians. They have to be chosen.
No.
They can't be picked.
Politicians, oh man, it just breaks my heart. It breaks my heart how fucked up our entire political system is. It's so sad. It is so fucking sad.
It's so weird.
It's so weird, and it's so bought. Everyone's bought. The lobbyists bought everything and everyone, and we're all just looking around being like, how is this all not working? It's because the fucking money, guys. Just follow the goddamn money.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, like, the Dalai Lama... like legitimately, like I don't know that he's...
he got canceled?
The Dalai Lama got canceled?
Dalai Lama got canceled. He was saying a bunch of sexist shit.
What?
Yeah, he was...
Well, here's the thing.
It was a while back. Let me remember what he was saying. Oh, he was talking about how he doesn't want to get married, and he sees his friends that are all married, and a lot of times they get divorced and they lose all their money. And then this lady goes, well, sometimes the woman has her own money. She makes her own money. He goes, yeah, good one.
Oh, what? The Dalai Lama said that?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Dalai Lama's also asked in his comments he made in 2015 that if a female Dalai Lama were to replace him, that she must be very attractive. Otherwise, not so much use.
Wow, Dolly. Hello, Dolly.
He laughed when asked if he understood why the response had offended women, saying, if female Dalai Lama comes, then she should be more attractive. If female Dalai Lama, before putting on a face, I think, I got ugly face, people prefer not to see her, that face. The Dalai Lama also said they had not given up hope of returning to Tibet. But there was another thing where he was doing an interview about that. And that's where he said, the woman would say, well, sometimes women have their own money. And he's like, oh, yeah, good one.
Yeah. Well, so here's the thing. Actually, that brings me to another point, which is this council, these 9 people, guess what?
What?
They're all still going to have shit about them that somebody's not going to like, right? Because we're all humans. At the end of the day, we've all got some weird baggage. We've all got something. But that's why you have such an array and diversity of those people. So that compensates for all of that stuff.
So we give the Dalai Lama a pass.
Well,
I get it. Okay,
I don't know.
So Dalai Lama. So we have 9 people. We got Dalai Lama.
Yeah.
Ted Nugent, right?
No, honestly, man, I think one of the deepest thinkers that I've ever heard break down like human behavior and I don't know, just an understanding of all that stuff, and I think good wisdom along with it is Jordan Peterson. I think that he would be a person that I would trust. I think that guy has a lot of integrity, and so I would that would be somebody too. But I also know Jordan has his own things that people have issues with. Like I get it, nobody's perfect. We're not going to find.
He's kicked off Twitter right now because he said something about Ellen Page. Elliot Page called her Ellen Page. Like I think that was the #1 thing. The dead naming.
Yeah, and it's sad, man. Because again, there's a lot of fear and pain on and all the sides of all that too.
My friend Brian Simpson had a very good thing to say about that. He was like, I come to you for like heavy duty intellectual shit. He goes, not for this.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, it's like this is not
totally. Yeah, this is like
getting
Jordan, don't
about.
yeah. You don't need to get into all that. I mean, look, it's his life, it's his Twitter, or was his Twitter anyway.
But that thing is like that transgender thing riles people up, man. That is one of the ones that riles people up. Like everybody's in favor of everybody doing whatever they want to do as long as it doesn't hurt anybody until it gets to gender, and then people start getting weird. They start thinking it's a mistake. They start thinking, why are you doing that? They start thinking all kinds of things. It's like we're so cool with people making all kinds